Okay, I think we're finally live. We'll get started here in just a moment. Hopefully. I thought I'd lay down and take a nap before the stream started, and that didn't go out. That didn't work as well as I thought it would. I get this mic planted in place. It seems like my audio levels are a little low, but what do, right? Nothing. You don't do nothing. All right. Wait for the 6:30 mark, and we will. Hey, Patrick's in the house. Good evening, sir. All right, let's get this ball rolling, shall we?
There is no life at the end of this war. Soon you will see, left with nothing at the end of this war. Eternally.
All right, and we are back with another edition of the Missouri Liberty Report. Thanks so much for joining me once again this week. And I am sorry if I sound a little bit out of it. I thought I'd come home and take a nap before I started, thinking that would give me a little pep in my step and just get a little power nap in and get started. That was a mistake. So for the first little bit until I start really rolling here, I'm going to sound like I'm completely out of it, and I apologize for that. I mean, I'll be able to read and relay information, but I may not sound very passionate, and I apologize beforehand. Hey, Ganai's in the house as well. Ganai and Patrick are here already. So anyway, folks, if any of you out there in the sound of my voice, which Ganai and Patrick here, I know they did their work, as well as several other people did. HJR 79 is dead. And we are not sorry to see that has happened. So to those of you who did call your reps, your senators, and urge them to not either just let HJR 79 die or amend it to where the language was very similar to HJR 132. Thank you. That was needed. That was a much needed effort on the part of a lot of people to make sure that we as Missourians get to keep the ability to put forth ballot initiatives when people like when the Plochers and the Schatzes and the Rowdens and the Veets of the world seem hell bent on screwing us over and not putting forth the popular bills, that we still have the ability to have a workaround. Now, does that mean we're done with this subject? Absolutely not. What it does mean is it gives us the opportunity to craft a bill that is way better. So we don't have to put forth more effort to get something on the ballot. Now it may be where we ask that it takes more votes to pass a ballot initiative, but on our side, the people that do this for free, we don't have people forking out money to pay us to go around and gather signatures. That's a much needed victory for us that we are still allowed to do it the way it was being done. It's just when it actually hits the ballot, the amount of votes needed, maybe that threshold will increase. Because, yes, it is very easy to change the Missouri Constitution right now. That is true. But government, in its normal behavior, they feel that they have to go 150% the other way. That's just government reaction. There's no thought. That law, I believe, that bill, in some part, was based on intent and not the outcome. And when someone writes legislation solely based on intent and not calculating what the outcome may be, in other words, well, I want to end this, but what else will I affect with this? How could I negatively impact a person's freedom with the intent behind the bill? Because I do believe some lawmakers, really want to do something they feel is beneficial, but they craft legislation and they go well beyond the scope of where they need to go. They get so worried. They were so worried about, after the Medicaid expansion and all that in the state, some lawmakers got whipped up into a frenzy. And I understand that because, they made it sound like, well, the people that were backing this, well, the feds always just pay for this extra. Come to find out, well, they might for the first few years, but then the tab really goes to the state. The taxpayers get hit with that. The state gets hit with all that money. So, I understand the reasoning behind wanting to make it a little harder to change the Constitution or add things, what have you. But we have to be reasonable in our approaches. We have to look at things from a freedom point of view, not, oh, well, we're just going to stop everything in its tracks. Well, no, you won't. Because just like a regulation that is supposed to impact everyone, the big boys at the top with all the money continue to be able to produce a good or whatever. The little guys get punished because they can't afford to jump through the extra fiery hoops required to abide by that regulation or that new law. And this is the same way with, it would have been the same way with HJR 79 had it passed. And, of course, now that would have had to gone on the ballot in November, and the people would have had to pass that. And again, as we talked about before, Patrick's talked about before, many people have talked about before, that the ballot language was so misleading that it would have been a heck of an uphill battle to educate enough people and educate enough voters to say, hey, this is what they're telling you. Here's this little paragraph. This is what it's saying. Here's what they're not telling you. So we would have had a real battle, a real fight on our hands to get people educated about what was in the actual law. What would have entailed had it passed. So again, fortunately enough, it did not pass. It died. Did not, get through the Senate, so on and so forth. So next legislative session, let's, again, that's an area where we need to focus on. What I'd really like to see, I think one of the main things one of my pet peeves is the personal property tax. Personally, that's one that I would like to see a lot of effort get put into, and that is eliminating the personal property tax. And Scott says the session may be over. We need to stay vigilant. They will try harder next session. They won't have any distractions. Redistricting. And that is true. As dumb as the whole redistricting fight was, and as much time as it cost groups like, the Missouri Freedom Initiative and others trying to get good legislation through, and they ruined it with this bickering over the redistricting, it kind of had a silver lining where HJR 79 also kind of didn't get its time in the light to for them to really work on it and try to shove it down our throats. So as much as the redistricting screwed up a lot of things that also did kind of help in the end, because they went right back to it right at the end trying to get that done. And it, you know, some of these guys, you know, they're, we don't want a bunch more, we don't want to send more Democrats to the to Congress. Okay, I get it. But can we focus on our state for the love of God? Can we just do that? Can we focus on our state and, we can craft legislation that allows us to basically ignore federal law? We talk about nullification a lot, and I will continue to talk about nullification as the weeks and months and years go on, because that is the 10th Amendment. That is, I believe, right now and has been for a long time, that is our most powerful tool here in any state. But here in Missouri, I believe that nullification is one of the strongest tools that we have. And basically the power to ignore, the power of civil disobedience against the federal government for unconstitutional or unjust laws, immoral laws. It says the pressure built from the grassroots on the Republicans to the point where they didn't want to bring it up after they ended the filibuster. Yeah. Grassroots. Okay, and last night I joined the live stream with Patrick and the rest, and Casey and everybody, Scott, Ganai, and they asked me what I had learned this year from them. So again, Casey or Caleb, Patrick, Ganai, and Voodoo Queen, and some of these people, they've been at it longer than I have. I'm kind of a newbie. But what I did learn, as I told them, is that my old podcast focused a lot on nationwide stuff, the feds, and I pretty much was coming to the same conclusion about our state as the feds before I got involved with these guys and kind of got to see with my own eyes how things worked. Was that the government just sucks, and you can't talk to these people and get them to see the light of day. I was wrong. I'm happy to be wrong on that. Now, do we have state reps who don't listen? Of course we do. We have the gentleman who, if he gets reelected, he will be Speaker of the House, and I'm talking about Dean Plocher. That guy does not listen to his constituents, okay? He listens to cha-ching, cha-ching. He listens to money. He listens to lobbyists. But there are several state reps who do listen to their constituents. But here's the key thing. You absolutely have to put the pressure on. You have to be active. Make phone calls. Send emails. Make your voice heard. It literally takes 2 minutes of your time. Even if you can't call while they're in the office, leave a voicemail. They can hold 75 voicemails. Leave a voicemail. Because here's the thing. The reason some of these things died, the reason why SEPA went through, hey, Voodoo Queen, is because we have a group of people who did not go, I'm just going to let somebody else take care of that. That's what's happened at the federal level a lot, is that we believe that if we elect certain people, that they will take care of it for us. Now, anybody should be able to see that's not the case in D.C. You have one example of steadfast discipline in his beliefs that, the Constitution does limit the scope and size of government and its power. Thomas Massey, one out of how many? But in Missouri, I have seen with my own eyes and heard with my own ears the results of literally making phone calls. You don't have to drive up to Jeff City and pound on their door and scream at them, because what you want to do is you want to be respectful. You want to be civil. But it can be done. It has been done. And this is why I say it doesn't, you don't have to take up hours of your day. Just if it's just your state rep, if it's just your senator, make sure you make those phone calls. Make sure you send those emails. Make sure you make them understand. And get some friends to do the same thing. Get some people that like-minded folks to do the same thing. Heck, you can even all can sit in a room or sit in the same place and say, okay, I'll call, then you call, then you call, then you call. Because the more phone calls they get from their constituents, then they understand, they know about this bill. They want this bill to go through, or no, they don't. This is how we affect change. It does require some activity. We cannot, in Missouri, be like what's been going on at the federal level with this just complacency and apathy, where everybody's like, I will elect this guy and they'll do it for us. Now, I remember, again, when Ron Paul in 2012 was running for president, and if the Republicans hadn't changed the rule at the convention, he more than likely would have got the nomination. And I remember thinking, as much as I agreed with Ron Paul and as much as I loved his message, I still remember thinking to myself, there are going to be several of his people that would vote for him who are going to think, Ron Paul's in office, now we're done. Now we can just sit back for the next 4 years. No. Because he was president, which he knows he can't write law. He cannot write laws. That's Congress's job. He can veto it. He can veto a law that he doesn't like. He can work together with Congress, I'm guessing, and talk to them, but he cannot write the laws. And that's what worried me about someone like Ron Paul becoming president, is that you would have there would be a good chunk of those people that voted him in would say, well, my job's done. I voted in Ron Paul, and now we don't have nothing to worry about. Au contraire, mon frere, you do still have something to worry about. While our state legislative body is out of session, you still have to pay attention. Because just because those people in Jeff City are not in session right now and they're not trying to craft legislation, you have local officials, executive boards, mayors, aldermen, that you still have to pay attention to. You have to find out what they're doing as well. So it's twofold. You have your local area, and then you have your state. Two things vitally important. Now, the Missouri Freedom Initiative and some of the others focus a lot on Jefferson City and state legislation, bills, regulations, ballot initiative, these things. But it also is vitally important that you keep an eye on your very, down to the lowest level of politicians and ensure that they aren't doing anything shady or in the background either, especially if you live in areas like St. Louis and Kansas City, Columbia, maybe Springfield. Those are areas you really want to pay attention. But even here in Owensville, where I live, it's gotten better, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean we can't revert back to where it was before, when we were in a crap electrical co-op because somehow the city attorney didn't download every page of the contract and missed the part where when we wanted to get out, we had to pay so much money and find like 2 or 3 other towns to take our place. Just didn't see it, and then pretty much the other remaining city council members just rubber stamped it through. So, and that, I'll tell you what, for those of you who hadn't heard this before, we were in MOPEP. So the city was taking, and they were, if let's say MOPEP charged us 8 cents a kilowatt hour, for a stretch, every month, our kilowatt per hour rate would be different. One month it could be 11 cents. The next month it might be 10 cents. It might be 9 cents one month. It might be 12. They were literally making money off the electric bills to pay salaries and give all these fringe benefits to city employees. Now, once that got around and a group called the Concerned Citizens Group caught wind of that, then there was an uproar. They took out like either a half or a full page in the local newspaper and laid out everything that had been happening. Then people got mad. They got real mad. And we suddenly found ourselves in a fight to get out of MOPEP, and we finally did. Now we're back under Ameren. Now is Ameren like the perfect thing? No. But our rates stay the same. We don't have a city trying to make money off of electric. Now, I'll tell you this too. I just lost my thought because that's the kind of day I'm having. It has been a long day. But when your cities are going to try to get you into these things, you got to pay attention to this. I mean, it was. I know what it was. Now I remember. This town was on the verge of one wrong decision away from bankruptcy. I mean, we were that close. One wrong move and we would have been filing bankruptcy. We had fire stations with second mortgages on them to help pay bills. We actually got behind in our payments to MOPEP. I think we owed them, at one time, we were like $250,000 behind. It got bad. It got bad here. And that's why I'm telling you, you have to pay attention to your local level. And G'day makes a good statement, says don't forget the school boards. Absolutely. Another vital area where you have to pay attention to what's going on. School boards, same way. You don't like them? Yeah, find somebody else who's better. Especially because they're an arm of government and they're so-called in charge of your child's education. And if we want more freedom lovers here in the state of Missouri, then we need parents to keep an eye on school boards, and we need to make sure our schools are educating our children in the right way. I say that, but I'm not naive enough to think that, are we ever going to get back to where the kids actually learn the Constitution and learn that their rights don't come from government? I doubt it. Because I think it's so screwed up right now. I don't think we'll get back to that, but that's where family comes in. That's why family is so important. That's why community is so important. And that's why if you have a good hold at your local level where you get to retain more of your freedoms in maybe a neighboring city or county, that's another way to educate your kids by showing them this is what we have, that's what they have. Look how much more expensive it is. Look how higher, how much higher their tax rate is. Look at all these extra things that those people have to go through that we don't have to. You know why? Freedom. Freedom, baby. Freedom, baby. It's just what was the there was a little promo that would run on LRN, and it said freedom is the answer, what's the question? Pretty simple. The other one that I really like is there are those who just want to be left alone and those who just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? I love both those little sound bites from LRN. It is a vital question that you must ask yourself. Are you someone who just wants to be left alone, or are you somebody who just won't leave others alone? And when I mean others, I'm talking about your neighbors. I'm talking about those in your community. Are you one who wants to write laws to control the behavior of people because you don't necessarily like the way they live their life? Or are you one of those that said, as long as they're not hurting anybody, go for it. Have at it. It's a question you must ask yourself. You must ask yourself these types of questions. If you want to be free, if you want to live in a freer society, you must be one who just wants to be left alone. And when government says they have an answer to a problem, freedom is the answer. What's the question? What can we do? How do we do this? The question must be, how do we solve this problem with more freedom instead of less freedom? Or if runaway government will create rules, they will create laws, they will create regulations that will rob you of the fruits of your labor and having you ask more permission, more and more, for things that you never would have had to ask permission for, in a days gone by. The Buddha Queen says, in County Health Department, Harrison County replaced hours on school face shields. Yeah, again, Missouri became awful close until enough people threw a fit. They were going to give the departments of health more power. They were actually going to give them more power, and people had come-aparts. They were very angry. And the state reps lost, some of the state reps lost interest. But that was actually I believe that was last year. It might have been 2020, but I know because of the bat flu, because of bat soup, the health departments almost got more power. And again, very dangerous because those are appointed and not elected places of power. So you as a citizen, you don't really have a say-so over them. They're going to do the bidding of those in charge, those in the government bodies, not the private Joe Blows like yourself and me. So we've dodged some bullets, folks, but the fight's not over. Being free means that the fight is never over. Now, does that mean we'll go through a roller coaster of events where sometimes things are much more calm and it seems like everything's on the up and up, and the legislative body they're not being busybodies and trying to pass legislation that takes away freedoms? Sure, you get some lulls sometimes where it seems pretty kosher and you're like, Don't let that lull you into a false sense of security. You have to keep your guard up. I say it like this. I would say that if we treat freedom like you're in a boxing ring with Mike Tyson, okay? And you don't want Mike Tyson to hit you because that is going to hurt. You'd be lucky if he doesn't cave your head in. So what do you got to do? You got to keep your guard up all the time. Because you drop your guard and he comes in with that patented one shot to the gut and the uppercut, you're knocked out. You're knocked out. You're done. Stick a fork in you, you're done. So that's what we have to do. I know that's not a real good assessment there, but I'm just saying treat freedom like you're in a ring with Mike Tyson every day. Every day. Now, I'm not saying you have to be glued to your TV or glued to your computer all day long going, like some kind of paranoid person that is always living on the edge, like, they're coming to get me. But you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention. You have to keep your guard up. Especially when representatives, mayors, aldermen tell you that they have an idea to solve a problem. That's when your antenna should go up. The alarm bells should be going off in your head. Red flags. Shooting a shooting a flare gun up in the air. A million things should happen telling you things are about to get real bad if this idiot does this. Yeah. Patrick says some people want government so large that there is no more room or resources for the private sector. It's also called communism. Yeah, there are people out there that want government to be in control of more things. And listen, I haven't really chimed in on this yet, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But because I feel, even though I believe, they're saying they're going to overturn Roe v. Wade, I believe it's a state right issue. I think the state should decide what happens as far as abortion. That's my belief. I don't like abortion, but I think the state should be the one to decide how they're going to do this. So there are so many people. I still see people like flipping out about this, right? And my answer to them is, you wanted government involved in healthcare. Now, I don't believe abortion is healthcare. I don't believe that. But they do. So government got involved in healthcare. Government gave them something they wanted for a while, and then guess what? Government turned around and took it back away. Hey, idiot, that's what happens when you get government involved in healthcare. Again, Your Honor, Exhibit A. Why wouldn't you want government involved in healthcare? 2, again, I don't believe abortion as a healthcare issue, but they do. So as a prime example, abortion and bat soup, or the results of eating bat soup, or however, poorly cooked bat soup, or someone was cooking bad soup and they slipped and fell and they poured their bad soup on another person, and that person ended up getting up and going, and flinging the bad soup, and then it just spread, however that goes, according to the official narrative. But there's 2 reasons why you you shouldn't want government involved in healthcare. But what do they want? They want government to get more involved because some people clearly don't understand that everything government touches, right, Trish, turns to crap. Everything government touches turns to crap. It does not register upstairs. The elevator isn't going to the top floor. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. A couple waves short of a shipwreck. A couple fries short of a Happy Meal. However you want to put it, it's not registering. I have seen people online sorry, I just got a message. I'm trying to figure out who it's from. I have seen online where people complain about mental health. Okay, mental health issues. There needs to be better mental health, education and resources. But who are they running to? They're running to the government. They're running to the government. Why? We saw the uptick in we've seen the uptick in drug overdoses, suicides, attempted suicides, deaths of despair the last few years because of government reaction to bat soup flu. That's the people you want to run to fix the problem. The ones that lock people out of their businesses, the ones that lock people in their homes, wouldn't let kids go to school to have a social life, see their friends, all these things. These are the people you want in charge of your mental health care. Are you freaking kidding me right now? People have got to wise up. They've got to be smarter than this. Some of them won't be. But it is also our job to educate them in these subject matters. Give them examples. What I just laid out for you, that should be all the evidence you need that you don't want government involved in either physical health care or mental health care. Again, people like to complain about the prices of things. Like they go to a car dealer, oh my God, the price on the car. There's a middleman. Government is the middleman. When you put them in health care, mental health care, you add a huge pocket of bureaucrats, lots of paperwork, and money that gets siphoned off to pay those people. The money's not going straight to mental health or just health care in general. It's going to bureaucrats. You're taking billions of dollars of people and shuffling it around like a shell game and then passing it off to a bunch of bureaucrats who get to be in charge of your health decisions. Why would you want to do that? It absolutely makes no sense. But I guarantee as time goes on, this is the message they're going to be pounding. They are not done fighting about this yet. They are not done fighting for government to be more involved in your health care, in your health decisions. They're not done. Some people think that government is some benevolent being who only wants to look out for the good of society. Some people want more control and power over you. The problem is the people that think that government is benevolent and all-knowing and virtuous and moral are running to people who think that government should be more powerful and should have more control over your lives. That's the people they talk to. Stop talking to those people. I don't know, use that big block of cholesterol with neurons and blood vessels and nerve endings and synapses. Start using that thing and form logical conclusions. Do your research. Man, I took a nap and I woke up like a grouchy old man. I feel like I told my wife on the way into work the other day, I said, I can feel my age, because I'll be 50 in November. I can feel my age creeping up on me. It just kind of looked at me. I said, yeah, pretty soon I'm just going to be standing at my machine and somebody's going to walk over and want something, and I'm just going to scream, get off my lawn. I'm already feeling the old grouchy old man like creeping up on me, and I'm not even 50 yet. It's okay. I mean, I think you should be entitled to be a little grouchy as you get older. You've earned it. You had to put up with a lot of stupid over the years, and you've earned the right to be a little crabby. That's just my personal belief. I mean, I don't think I'll be that crabby because I'm still a kid at heart, but still, topics like these touch a nerve with me, and I get a little fired up, and then I'm ready to scream at people. I don't, but I'm ready to. But anyway, that was, wow, I went on for almost 37 minutes, just rambling on. At least I didn't ramble like in some incoherent babble. Like I was up here and I was trying to write hieroglyphics and speak in Babylonian, and everybody's like, oh, that's it. He's lost it. He's finally done. Time to call in the guys with the white coats. So, I got a couple articles here, and this is one I found yesterday. This is from the Columbia Missourian. So, be prepared for stupid, because their golden boy, Senate Majority Leader Caleb Rowden, stood in his office on the third floor of the Missouri Capitol, hoping the remainder of the legislative session would involve more cooperation than the first month had. The sound echoing from 2 floors below suggested the Columbia Republican had his work cut out for him. Really? Downstairs in the Capitol Rotunda, conservative senators were riling up anti-abortion protesters who were adamant that the Senate draw congressional districts to ensure an additional Republican would be sent to Washington. In just this past week, announced Senator Bill Eigel, myself, along with some of the other senators you've met today, have filibustered the Senate floor for over 50 hours. Cheers and a standing ovation ensued. That was in mid-February. Now, with less than a week left in the session, which now it's over, intra-party tension has not dissipated as Rowden would have liked, though some collaboration has shown through on budget and education efforts. Filibustering, dress code violations, and general disruption in the Senate resulted in a historically unproductive start to this year's legislative session. The body failed to pass any legislation until the last week of February. Republicans and Democrats have largely attributed attributed the dysfunction to the body's conservative caucus, a group comprised of Senator Rick Bratton. Yeah, that guy's kind of... Senator Eric Burleson, Senator Bill Eigel, Senator Denny Hoskins, Senator Andrew Koenig, Senator Mike Moon, and Senator Bob Onder. During this session, Moon, Eigel, and Onder have largely taken the lead in the caucus obstinacy, and the group still has time to kill legislation in the final days of session. Lawmakers on both sides of the debate admit that the ongoing contention has hurt the very people they've sworn to protect. Bills of direct relevance to Missouri residents stood at a standstill as senators bickered over redistricting and other issues. There's no question, Onder said more than a month after lawmakers returned to work. It's been an epically unproductive session. And while the two sides have agreed on little lately, Rowden is on the same page as Onder on at least one point. A dysfunctional Senate is not good for Missourians. At some point, you've got to govern, Rowden said amid the Senate's redistricting deadlock. You got to do what the people sent you here to do, and I don't think we're doing that right now. Marijuana legalization, for example, which has proven popular in the state, still hasn't crossed the legislative finish line. Rowden also recently blamed the caucus for preventing conservative wins by delaying bills that would tighten unemployment and voter ID requirements. But the caucus has pointed a finger at Senate leadership, including Senate President Pro Tem Dave Schatz and Rowden himself, for steamrolling the caucus and creating the tension at hand. Mr. Rowden was elected floor leader, Onder said, not king. Very true. Now, Onder has been one of the biggest voices in this fight for redistricting. And again, they wasted a lot of precious time. Not real thrilled about it, but what's done is done, and the battle continues. But I know, I've seen from Eigel, I've seen from Moon, Burleson, some of these guys, and Onder for the most part, that these guys really do fight for actual conservative values. Bratton, I'm not so sure about. I've heard things about Bratton that makes me, a little shaky on that. But I know, like Moon and Eigel, normally you can always count on those guys to do the right thing. And they hold more true, I would say pretty much libertarian values as far as what government's role is in your life, what power it should have. And again, when I interviewed Senator Bill Eigel, he told me there's not a tax he wouldn't like to either cut out completely or just cut. I'm cool with that. And Senator Bill Eigel has been in the forefront of fighting the personal property tax. And he's getting some support from a few, but a lot of them just meh. And speaking of conservative, I saw a Twitter post today. Dave Schatz is like, real conservative values, blah, blah, blah. And he laid out this whole thing. My only response to him was, a gas tax is not conservative. And I just put hashtag Rhino. Very simple. Because adding new taxes to the people of Missouri is not conservative. And I mean, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I don't think I need to go off on a 10-minute tangent about that. But yeah, I mean, Rowden, he's from the Columbia area, so they're gonna suck up to him. But he's, and when they're talking about the dress code violation, that was Moon. He had been helping serve pancakes for some kind of breakfast at the Capitol, and then he walked into the Senate floor with his bibs on, and then they, took away some. They took him off some, what's the damn word I'm looking for? Blah, I'm freaking losing my mind. But they took him off some different things, and, Dave Schatz had to smack his hand a little bit. And he had been serving pancakes. So I didn't want to get my freaking nice clothes dirty. So he went from there, and he went to the Senate floor. Oh, had to make an example out of him. I mean, I get it. You don't want people showing up in ripped T-shirts and holy jeans and flip-flops. But one time, dude, really? Come on. Says, while the senators that make up the conservative caucus generally share values, they come to Jeff City from many corners of the state, and their experience and occupations outside of politics vary widely. Moon, for example, is a cattle farmer in southwest Missouri with some marketing experience at the local hospital system. Onder is a physician in St. Charles County, specializing in allergy and immunology as well as internal medicine. Bratton, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, owns a construction company and a 40-acre farm outside Kansas City. Despite these biographical and geographical differences, the group's interest managed to align. The caucus, formed in 2018, has consistently focused energy on hot-button conservative stances, including banning abortion and critical race theory, as well as placing heavier restrictions on immigration, voting, and social welfare services. The caucus's uncompromising position on these issues has occasionally inflamed relations with other members of the Missouri GOP. Most recently, the caucus lashed out at 8 Republicans for voting to approve a bill that would extend the state's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as food stamps, to include hot meals at restaurants. Now, you notice how this article picked out the hot button issues. But again, they've been fighting against, some of these guys have been fighting against taxation. That gets left out of the article. There's a reason for that. Because I'm sure Rowden is against eliminating the personal property tax. I'm sure Rowden would be against eliminating the Missouri state income tax. They're not going to make their boy look bad in the newspaper, right? They got to make him look good. They got to make him look like he's the leader. Makes me want to vomit on my shoes. But basically that's it. I mean, visitors to the website of Onder or Eigel are greeted with "Make Missouri Great Again" in bold type. Burleson uses his website to tout his record of backing President Trump's agenda. On his campaign site, Moon promises to finish Trump's border wall if elected to Congress. Oh, here's the goals of the caucus also closely align with the former president's agenda. At the base of it all, Judeo-Christian values. The phrase is an underlying piece of caucus members' rhetoric, just as it is in Trump's campaigning message. Moon's campaign calls for voters to help him save our Judeo-Christian values. Burleson's campaign calls him a leading voice for Christian family values. The phrase made rounds during the Cold War era as a method of uniting Americans against communist and atheist ideology. Trump's campaigns have referred to Judeo-Christian values as a crucial yet endangered piece of the country's founding. He's not wrong. This country was founded by a lot of Christians. Now, here's the thing. They treat this as, now, and some of them would, don't get me wrong. There's some loony Christians in government, okay? There are. But they make it sound like all of them want to eliminate all other religions but Christianity, and then everything has to have Christianity stamped all over it. That's not it. That's not what most of them want. There is, you can learn a lot of moral lessons from the Bible and Christianity. Now, being able to read the Bible and comprehend it doesn't make you a moral person, but you can learn some important lessons from those things. And it is a good foundation for moral teachings, but doesn't make you a moral person, because we all know Christians who go to church every Sunday and they're hypocritical as all get out. But I love this attack, and I love how they're aligning. This is the way they're going to fight. There is an organization actually called Make Missouri Great Again. Does that mean that the person that's kind of heading up that group thinks Trump was a great person? Probably not. They might agree with a few things. Doesn't mean, oh, I'm a huge Trump supporter. This is what kills me. There are so many people on the left or anti-Trumpers who will they're going to use his name for years as a scare tactic. These people like Trump. Maybe they agreed with some of his stuff. Doesn't mean they backed him. Some of them might. Some of them might have backed him the whole way. I think Onder did. But some of them probably liked a few things that he did and disagreed with some things he did. But this, oh my God, they like Trump. That, so does Schatz, probably Rowden too. They probably backed him. Well, look what they're doing. Instituting more taxes? What the heck? It's like, what's that do? What's that going to do? Nothing. It just made us less prosperous. Again, they knew inflation was coming because you got Biden in office. I mean, I don't know. Again, they screwed us over. Schatz screwed us over. And that's about all you can say there. I mean, really. Patrick says we'll have surveys done soon. Every politician gets one. I like that. I'm down with that. And that kind of helps us gauge where they stand on certain issues, especially if they're a candidate running for office. And we can gauge and see, again, Patrick and those guys aren't endorsing candidates because they don't want to be a political group. They may say, hey, you can check this person out. That's as far as it's going to go. I'm fine with that. I'm trying to find freedom-oriented candidates to interview, and I've been contacting some, and I'm not getting any answers. I've got one response, and she'll be on with me next week. That's all I've gotten. And I'll just keep plugging away, keep looking for stuff, see what I can find, whatever. But it's like, good Lord, this is so screwed up. It does suck. It'd be nice to have a central database on truly freedom-loving candidates that you can find and interview and the like, but that's nigh impossible. About damn near impossible to find these people. It's because they're not establishment. And so we've got to depend on each other. So if anybody out there hears this, please contact me. Put it in the comments of this video. If you find a freedom lover, let me know. I contacted Mazzy Boyd, I believe her name is. I had to send her an email, and I have not heard back. Now, she worked for the Trump campaign and all these things. So, folks, after talking to my wife and Patrick and Sam and Trish, discussing, because I want freedom-loving candidates on this show. But again, I'm going to have to go outside of my comfort level here a little bit and talk to people who I may not necessarily agree with on everything, but still give them, to have a discussion. Because sometimes you just got to try to find common ground. I'm tired of establishment types in the halls of government, whether federal or state. I'm sick and tired of that crap. But I'm going to try to have them on. I'll give them a shot, And my wife says maybe people who follow them to your live stream, maybe you will make a statement that says, maybe this person's on the right track and this person's not. Or you never know where you're going. Again, randomly found Patrick from the Missouri Freedom Initiative. Randomly found some of these people to talk to. And so you never know where a conversation is going to lead to. And that's something I've got to get through my thick skull, I guess. Is that I'm going to have to talk to some of these people because it may lead me to someone else. It may lead me to another group. that I can find common ground with and that will help in this fight for freedom. So sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone. That's all. I mean, that's really all there is to it. But again, very thankful. It really, between Sam and Trish Britton, Patrick and Casey and Caleb and Casey Pemberton and Scott and Voodoo Queen, these are all random meetings. It's so awesome. It's absolutely unbelievable that I just it's been an unbelievable ride. I talk like I'm ending the podcast right now and that's it. No, I'm just saying so far it has been an incredible ride. That I have randomly met people in the last several years and seeing this thing grow and seeing organizations and meeting these people that I didn't know existed and are teaching me things and I can teach you those same things. It's been absolutely incredible, and I am extremely blessed to be able to do this and continue doing this and meeting these people and continuing this fight and continue to educate others. So, all right, for those of you in KEYK land, thanks so much for joining me once again this week for the Missouri Liberty Report. And don't forget, you can email me at mlreport@protonmail.com. That's mlreport@protonmail.com. Also, check out the YouTube video because I have links to the Missouri Freedom Initiative and some of the other stations that air me. See you next week. Okay. So, anyway, I appreciate that, Patrick. They're hitting you up. Awesome. Here I'm saying there's no central network, and you wait and watch. Here's something I think that could come out of it. If we continue to make the state more free, if we continue on this battle and we continue to push and pressure and get good legislation through that allows us to be more free, we could actually build a central place for freedom-loving candidates to come. They will actually seek guys like Patrick and them out. Maybe me. Maybe they'll seek me out. To say, hey, I've got something I want to say. I've got something that I can bring to the table. There's absolutely, I think it's a great possibility of that happening. I really do. I really think that's a good possibility. Yeah, Patrick, I'm grateful for meeting you too, man. Holy crap. Again, y'all heard my interview with Sam and Trish a couple weeks ago. They set me on a whirlwind path of educating myself and learning all these things. And Patrick and his outfit, everybody involved with Missouri Freedom Initiative are doing the same thing. So, striving to learn more, striving to educate myself more, and striving to educate my listeners and hopefully bring more people to the party. My stream, the Missouri Freedom Initiative stream. I mean, KC Rich, he's got the SAPA Central YouTube stream, which I need to put a link up to that too. I never remember to do that. I gotta get that link. Patrick, if you wouldn't mind in the comments section posting the link to KC's SAPA Central YouTube channel so I can get that up. It'll be in the comments, and then I will copy and paste it in the description later. And I need to start adding that link to my my videos each week. I feel bad I'm being a jerk to KC and not putting his link to his YouTube channel up. But yeah, Patrick, have a great weekend, buddy. But this has been, I'm having a blast, even though, sometimes politicians make you want to pull your hair out. And now I got a sneeze coming. I'm about to kill the mic. My allergies have been absolutely just insane the last 3 or 4 days. Like, I don't know what this heat's done, but it's like making the pollen like popcorn and it's expanding. It's driving me nuts. Yeah. So here's something funny I'm going to relate to you. Even though I am more of a conservative person, I'm more of a, I'm a liberty-minded person. I don't tie myself to a political party, but, I have libertarian leanings, and I'm fiscally conservative. I do work at a factory that is union, and yeah, Voodoo Queen makes a great point. Our grassroots groups offer solutions instead of just complaining. It works. She just made a very important point. And here's something that you folks need to pay attention to. Is that there are groups out there who literally just want to sit and complain. Literally, that's it. And groups like the Missouri Freedom Initiative, Make Missouri Great Again. What's the other one? Patrick, if you're still listening, what's the name of the group you just did? You went up to Jeff City a couple weeks ago. And I got an email from him. I am drawing blanks. Right now, I'd be an artist, and I'd be drawing blanks. Show Me Integrity. That's the other one. Groups like those, they are about action and not just sitting around whining, complaining. So that's the kind of community and organizations you need to surround yourself with. Those who don't just sit back and go, wah, because you might as well bring diapers and baby bottles and blankets to that group because nothing's going to get accomplished. You have to be active. You have to be active. There's just no two ways around it. So yeah. But anyway, I have decided. And there's I have a couple reasons, but our union elections are going to be taking place June 1st. I ran for vice president of the union, and I've been talking to people, and I said, listen, now I'm not going up there. If I was elected vice president, I wouldn't be doing it because I'd be getting some fringe benefits. Because really, vice president, there's no real power there, and there's no real benefit to it. But I said my line of thinking is, if you really want to know what's going on, because these groups, you never hear everything. It's because I want to know what's going on. Especially I'm paying money to an organization the first week of every month out of my paycheck. I want to know what's going on. Now, will I get elected? I'm going to say probably not. But that is one of the reasons that I'm running, because I want to know the ins and outs. I want to be in there, and I want to know what goes on. I want to know how issues are handled. I want to know these things. And I'm not going to get that by going to, just going to union meetings or reading a newsletter. Yeah, again, I may regret the decision. If I'm elected, I may regret the decision almost immediately. But my point is, how are you to know what's going on without involving yourself? By getting in the trenches and doing some dirty work. How are you going to know what's going on? And so the nerdy part of my brain says, I need to know what's going on. I need to know the ins and outs. I need to know how things get done, how, the steps involved. I've got to know these things. Why is it working this way? And I know that I will get quite a few votes from people on my side of the plant and some people on the other side of the plant. Will I beat the other guy out? I don't know. But I do know that there's no way for me to know this without giving it a shot, running for it, and then if I am elected, then I will be able to understand more fully what goes on behind the scenes. And then I can educate myself with that. Same thing. We have websites. Legiscan.com. You can go there, click the state of Missouri. You can look up keywords and find out. It'll tell you the most popular bills in the state. Takes just a few minutes. But if you type in the word tax, it'll bring you up every bill that has to do with something with taxes. Or about any subject you can think of. Go to legiscan.com. legiscan.com. And literally down at the bottom of the page, you click your state, brings you up, type in keywords. If you know the actual bill name, bill number, type it in. You can look at the full text of the bill, all that stuff. Educate yourself on the bill language. Because, media doesn't always do such a bang-up job of describing in full detail what is in some of these bills. They like to give you a little juicy morsel sometimes, but sometimes they leave out very important things. So it's in your best interest to do the research yourself, just like with any other subject. Anything in life, it's best to do your research and dig in and find the facts. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Missouri Liberty Report. So I would ask that you check out molibertyradio.us, keygatheringplace.com, governamerica.com, and also don't forget to check out mofirst.org. That is the Missouri Freedom Initiative's website. So mofirst.org. Actually, is that wrong? Am I wrong? I think I'm wrong, aren't I? I do this every freaking time. So I'm going to type in the actual website because I can't see it in the description right now. Oh, it's Missouri Freedom Initiative. No, it's mofree.org. Why? See? Brain misfiring. I'm having a stroke behind the microphone. Yay for strokes. But anyway, so mofree.org. Also, be sure to check them out. Learn more about the Missouri Freedom Initiative. Learn more about Patrick and Casey, about what they do. Get involved with these guys. I guarantee you will not regret it. And you will not regret listening to these networks that I'm carried on either. So much information. And they all stream on the internet. You don't have to tune in on the radio. You don't have to live in the area. They're all available to listen to over the World Wide Webs. So make sure you check out these networks and this organization here, these fine people. Oh, Mo First is Ron's. See, shows you how much I know. All right. Boy, oh boy. I'm sorry, Patrick. I'm retarded. I really am. I'm just dumber than a box of rocks. Okay, so mofree.org is Patrick's. Mo First is Ron Calzone's site. I apologize. Again, my synapses are not firing. And apparently, YouTube's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Great. Anyway, let's just end it on that note because, bleh. I keep getting this encoding overloaded thing, and I got to figure out, I got a setting wrong or something. So anyway, thanks again for joining me for this edition of the Missouri Liberty Report. And continue to guard your liberty. Continue to stay active. Pay attention. Make your phone calls. Do your emails. Go to meetings. Look for these organizations that are doing great things and get involved. And we will make Missouri, with your help, we can make Missouri the freest state in the nation. Good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week. All right, guys, I apologize. I keep getting a encoding overloaded OBS error, and I don't know what the deal is. Consider turning down video settings or using a faster encoding preset. And, of course, I can't do it right now because I'm streaming. So that makes it virtually impossible. So I'm going to have to look into this error and change my settings for next week because that's just annoying as all get out. But anyway, thanks to you guys. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Scott. Or Ganai, Voodoo Queen. Any of you, any others of you who check in and view this video later, thanks to every single one of you. Keep up the great work. Keep up the fight. And we'll make Missouri way more free and prosperous than we are right now. All right? So take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Friday. Take care, everybody.